Recognizing the member from Ladysmith-Oceanside, you have about 5 minutes.
Okay, I will be quick. I'm rising to speak to the Long-Term Care Access and Transparency Act. As a person who, people have all mentioned their parents, my parents, as I've talked about in this house, my dad died waiting in the hospital for transition to long-term care. And he didn't die because he was waiting. He died because his heart was the size of a walnut. And so this is what I worry about when you talk about making these lists and how many people died waiting. Well, it's not that clear. I have personal experience as well with this, as we're dealing with my in-laws who have complex care issues. So we all have experience with this, and we all have different reasons why we support or don't support the intentions of the bill. And as the member for Ladysmith-Oceanside, the Oceanside end of my riding, the median age is 68. The median age. And so my constituents really love to tell me that I have the most senior population in the country. I haven't checked because they're also dynamic. I don't need to worry about their age. They keep me busy. But through the Oceanside Caregivers Group, the work they've been doing recently, I have learned that those in charge of long-term care placement know exactly how many people are on the waiting list for long-term care, and at any moment. They also know, and I've also learned through this work, that that list is not static. You don't start at 25 and then move to 24 and then move to 23. What happens is that list changes based on complexity of issues. As many of us know, if we are dealing with seniors in our lives, sometimes if you're dealing with particular issues, there's rapid onset of cases where somebody might suddenly all of a sudden need to be moved into long-term care much more quickly than they thought. So this list becomes quite dynamic, and my concern with this is that we create expectations in the public that don't reflect the reality of the situation. I think it's also important to note that my riding actually will benefit from the completion of the Landsville long-term care home that will include palliative and complex care beds, and it's scheduled to open in 2029. So we are addressing these things. This bill, I am concerned that it creates administrative burden on the folks who are doing this work, who are dealing with folks, and that it necessitates that resources put into publishing a list rather than connecting people to the service they need is concerning, particularly when we constantly hear the other side talk about members or staff not being on the front line. So this pulls people away and creates a false narrative that this is really simple and you just start at 25 and you move up to 24 and this is how long it's going to be. But having said all that, while I support the intention of the bill, I do believe that the structure laid out in it is problematic. But perhaps those are some things that can be fixed during the committee stage. I'm unsure. But I do want us to recognize that if we put a lot of time into creating a false narrative to the public, then that also creates stress on the people who are waiting as well and the caregivers as well. So I think it's really important that we recognize the problematic nature of the bill, and perhaps some of those problems can be worked out in the committee stage. I'm unsure. But I felt it important to talk about this as the member from Ladysmith-Oceanside that has a median age of 68. Thank you, Madam Speaker.